Now, Chinese net users are quick to let their opinions be known on issues that matter to them. So as usual, we start off the show with 5 top trending online comments that we've selected from just a few of China's most popular web portals. First today at number 5, this comes from QQ.com and it says, "So is this big ball diplomacy then? It seems quite similar to the small ball diplomacy we had in China decades ago." Well, if you understand that Han Dan Xuebu is referring to basketball and ping pong when he says big ball and small ball here, then this comment might become a little clearer. A number of US basketball players, including Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman, were at an exhibition match in North Korea recently, watched by reputed basketball fan and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Photos of the event, published online by Vice magazine, show Rodman and Kim Jong-un sitting courtside engrossed in the game. The week-long trip by the basketball diplomats is actually for a TV documentary production being produced by Vice for HBO. But some Chinese net users have already connected this game with the famous ping-pong diplomacy of the 1970s, when the US table tennis team received an unexpected invitation to visit China, even though the US at that time didn't recognize the People's Republic. The trip is credited with contributing to the re-establishment of diplomatic ties between the two countries some years later. Whether Rodman and co can warm relations between North Korea and the country it calls its sworn enemy remains to be seen. At number 4, also on QQ.com, "I support this. I'd love to donate some of my organs when I die. In that way, part of me will live on, and the rest of me can rest in peace in nature, if it's a sea burial." According to the Beijing Times, China's Ministry of Civil Affairs has been exploring the possibilities of more eco-friendly burials for the deceased. In a report about the services for the upcoming Qingming, or tomb sweeping holiday, the Ministry of Civil Affairs has called on local authorities to encourage more environmentally friendly forms of burial, such as scattering ashes onto the sea or burying them under trees. Currently, ashes are often placed in elaborate tombstones, the ground of which, of course, local authorities would prefer to use for agriculture. However, old habits and customs die hard. The ministry statement comes after a much reported case where the local government in Zhoukou, that's in Henan province, forcibly flattened over 2 million rural tombs over the last year in order to increase arable land. By the end of the recent Spring Festival holiday, more than half of those flattened tombs have been quietly rebuilt by local villagers. At number 3, moving to 163.com, "If we had similar standards here, Chinese people would never be able to step outside their doorways." The standards this poster is referring to come from the Japanese Ministry of the Environment. It recently asked local authorities there to issue public alerts to stay indoors if the concentration of PM2.5 exceeded 70 micrograms per cubic metre of air. Now, PM2.5 are the most dangerous airborne pollution particles, less than 2.5 microns in diameter. They can lodge in the human lungs and tend not to be coughed out like larger particles. Some of the airborne pollution that affected northern China this winter has been carried towards Japan by prevailing winds. However, in cities like Beijing, levels of PM2.5 rarely fall under 100. And on one occasion this winter, on January the 12th, they reached 993. The World Health Organization recommends that 24-hour exposure to PM2.5 be limited to levels of no higher than 25. China's polluted air has sparked criticism online and unusual frankness about the problem in state media. But despite public concern last week, the air quality once again hit serious levels, with thick smog and a sandstorm blanketing the city. At number 2, also on 163.com. "We're such a big country, but we can't even handle a small problem like milk powder. It's a real shame." The problem here concerns infant milk powder stocks in Hong Kong, which local media say have become scarce because of the activity of so-called grey market traders from mainland border towns. Now, they turn up in Hong Kong on multiple entry tourist visas, often making several runs a day to buy up tins of formula from Hong Kong retail outlets and then sell them back in the mainland. Now, here they are eagerly sought after, and they can be sold at a handsome profit because many parents in mainland China don't trust the quality of mainland brands. A massive scandal back in 2008 saw thousands of children become sick and a handful die from contaminated Sanlu milk powder. Now, Hong Kong's Food and Health Bureau says that people leaving the city will be limited to taking 2 cans, or about 4 pounds, of infant formula. In addition, the carrier must be at least 16 years old and must not have left the city in the last 24 hours. And Those who try to smuggle out formula or more formula could face 2 years in jail and a fine of up to $65,000. And finally, our most popular comment of the day today comes from iFung.com, and it says, "Great, I support it, no matter whether it's an advertising stunt or not." The cause of this anonymous Beijing poster's delight is a sign that appeared recently on a small restaurant in a busy tourist area of the capital near the Forbidden City. Now it reads, "This restaurant does not receive the Japanese, the Philippines, the Vietnamese and dogs." And just to ensure the insult wasn't lost in translation, it was written both in Chinese and in English. So why were those nations singled out by this hospitable restaurateur? Well, they're the closest of the no less than 6 jurisdictions with which China has territorial squabbles in the East and South China Seas. The others are Malaysia, Brunei and Taiwan. Now the sign paraphrases one which supposedly hung outside a park in Shanghai during colonial times that read "No dogs and Chinese allowed." Although most historians agree that no such sign ever existed, it has become an enduring part of modern folklore, and it's taught in the country's patriotic education. While the owner in this case was forced to remove the sign, the support for this post shows that extreme nationalist sentiments, with the help of periodic stoking by state media, are never that far from the surface. Well, that's the story behind our top comment of the day here on China Take. Coming up next, reactions to a plea from parents of gay and lesbian children to legalise same-sex marriages.